Wilderson, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, it's kind of a long journey. I guess I'll start from the beginning. Let's see. I was, very young. At a young age, I had some minor trauma that caused some fear in my life, and then looking back at it now, I remember I used food as like a coping mechanism. So starting around 5, 6 years old, I remember gaining a lot of weight. I remember seeing pictures of the weight gain, and I just ate pretty much anything I wanted. I remember hiding food or waiting till everyone's asleep, go in the kitchen and sneak some food, things like that. Uh, but what I also remember, which is pretty important, is that I was in a lot of discomfort, very uneasy. So that caused a lot of, I'm going to quote on this quotation marks, laziness. And I thought that of myself as well. I thought I was just a lazy person. Why does everybody else have so much energy, but I'm always lazy? And so what I realized later on is that really I became totally addicted to the sugar, to the carbs. I mean, it's really exactly what it was when I look or research uh, addiction. I know for sure that's exactly what I was. I was addicted to the sugar. So, as you can imagine, let's say you're addicted to something and then you don't want to wake up. You want to wake up maybe like 11 or 12, even 1 p.m. because it just hurts. It's just uneasy and even pain. You can even get depression. And then of course from there it just snowballs into anything like anxiety and all kind of thing there. So yeah, I was an obese child. The only pleasure I got was from eating. As soon as I woke up, you just feel bad. You just feel icky, a discomfort. It's unbelievable. The only way to explain it is, like I said, to to like kind of match it up with someone that's addicted. So I did that and didn't want to do anything. Never wanted to play outside. Just kind of like in misery. So I even gained more weight without activity. So if I move ahead to my teen years, by the time I was 17 or 18, I really just got fed up. Really just got fed up with being overweight, not being out there with my friends, just anything that comes along with the discomfort of being overweight. And tired of being tired. I just remember always being tired of being tired. So I decided to do something about it, and it's really odd. But what I ended up doing, this is hard to believe. It's really hard to believe. But what I ended up doing is, so for 13 months in a row, 13 months straight, I didn't eat not one thing. Honestly, not one thing. The only proof I have is pictures, but even that, might not satisfy somebody. My friends were there that saw me go through this metamorphosis or this change, but I no longer am in contact with those friends of mine. I couldn't even get in contact with them. I couldn't find them. But really, what I'm saying is that only they would know or would be able to tell you that this was actually a fact. No eating for 13 months. I wouldn't suggest anyone doing that because I didn't know what I was doing. Uh, it was in the beginning, especially, it was really, really hard because you're hungry. I've been hungry for 17 years, and so it's very hard. So I had to take it like 1 minute at a time. Every single day, I would wake up and I would tell myself, "Don't eat, don't." It was just like almost every minute, constant reminder to myself, "Don't eat, don't eat, don't eat." The only thing I would do is maybe iced tea, water. That's it. That's it. But I had to remind myself. Now there was pain involved because I was starving and hungry. So to cope with this, and even before I started, I guess, fasting incorrectly, uh, the unease of all this, I would smoke marijuana. I was always smoking since I was about 15, 16 years old. I would smoke every single day. And now I look back and it's mostly to deal with the discomfort, to deal with the pain of the addiction. So Going back to that, I also used marijuana to deal with the pain of being hungry all the time, and that's how I dealt with it. Now, doing so, like I said, it was wrong the way I did it. You could cramp up. I cramped up a lot, very painful cramps, and I learned that later on that even your heart can cramp, and that can cause a problem for your heart. So that's one of the reasons why you don't want to just not eat. You want to talk to your PCP, your primary care physician. I just did it wrong, so I wouldn't suggest it. So I went from about my highest weight or my heaviest was about 320 pounds at 15, 16 years old. And like I said, I stopped eating for 13 months and I went down to about 185. I know that I was in ketosis. I was definitely in ketosis very quickly. I just had an abundance of energy. I was able, my choice sport or my choice activity was basketball. I just loved basketball. I miss it. I can still play it now, but we'll get to that part later. Um, and that's what I used. So I lost weight really, really quick, so quickly that I had a lot of loose skin. But it was beautiful. I felt confident. I had energy. I was definitely in ketosis. So moving along, after that, I was still addicted. I stopped. I decided to stop that. I felt like I can probably stay at this weight. I didn't know any better. So then I went back to little by little eating, um, this and that. Not like before, but slowly I ramped up to eating back to the way I was when I started. Before I started the weight loss. And then I heard about the Atkins diet. The Atkins. So I've dealt with like meat-based diets for years now. So this is probably like in my late teens, early 20s is when I was introduced or I found out about the Atkins diet. So my friends and I, we've done that. We were doing that often, on and off, and it worked very easy. I love salty foods, anyways. Really, I love every kind of food, salty and sugary, but I loved eating meats. That's my main thing. So I didn't have too much of a problem. It's just that I was still addicted to the sugar, so I would go on and off. Especially if you have a cheat day, you would be like, well, it's only one day. Let me do it 2 days, and then that story, so on and so forth. You feel like you've lost the weight, and you're tricking yourself that you can stay at that weight even when you're not eating Atkins anymore. You just convince yourself that that's how it would go, but that didn't happen. So I think like around 2006, I was definitely an adult by then, maybe my late 20s or 30s. Uh, I was still on and off, tried different diets. My father died around that time. My father died, and then at that point I had lots of questions about everything, everything possible you could think of, anything that's important to a young person. The economy, your health, nutrition, diet, exercise. So one of the main questions I was asking and wanted to look at was diet and nutrition, diet and nutrition. So I started studying into that and never stopped. I've been studying, listening to podcasts. I became certified as a holistic health coach. At one point, I became a personal trainer. For about a year, I was seeing clients where I would do an hour, maybe an hour and a half session. The first 15 minutes would be health coaching, sitting down with them like I'm doing with you now and talking about different lives, their environment, their life habits, nutrition, so on and so forth. The other 45 minutes would actually include a workout regimen based on their needs. So, but that was only about a year. I was still dealing with weight issues myself, so I had anxiety and it was uncomfortable. Even though I know I was helping people, it was still uncomfortable. Um, talking to people, being so up close and personal with folks. So, and like I don't know if I said earlier, but fear was the main issue that caused me to gain weight as a child. That's that's a whole different podcast, but I still had the anxiety, I still had the fear, and I was still mainly addicted to the sugars. So I stopped uh, you know, the coaching. I stopped, the actual work that I got. So I did notice that I had sleep issues. So I kind of pre-diagnosed myself by studying. Remember, I was looking at nutrition and environment and habits. I realized I had sleep apnea, and so I went in and got it confirmed. I went to a doctor, and they did say I wasn't had sleep apnea. Even till this day, I still use a CPAP machine. Um, so I'm still at this point. I'm still dealing with the discomfort. It's hard to even, like I said, it's hard to even wake up. If it was up to me, I would always wake up at 12 noon, 1 p.m. before I had enough energy to do anything. The energy would last only 2 hours. Even going to the bathroom, something as simple as going to the bathroom I was just tired, just tired all the time. And this is something as a man that you don't want to talk to anybody about. Um, for me at least myself, I just wanted to hide it, keep it to myself. I didn't want anyone thinking that I'm lazy. That's what my father used to tell me I'm lazy. I know that people would think of me as lazy. So I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to ask for help, that kind of thing. And I blame that kind of thought process, that kind of mentality is also, in my mind, because of the brain fog, because of the addiction. You can think of it as an addict denying, they're in denial. They don't even want to bring up the fact that they're addicted. So I had that mindset, back then. So bear with me. I am getting to the point where I actually used Carnivore, and it changed my life completely. So I used to work in a corporate environment. At some After I stopped helping people with the holistic health coaching, so on and so forth, I just decided to go on zero carb. I did another zero carb diet for about a year and a half, 2 years, working out at the gym. Again, lost weight, easily, easily. All I did was eat proteins and fatty proteins. That's it. Uh, all this time, I was dealing with heart palpitations and all the ailments that come with eating a standard American diet. Okay, but every time I did a zero carb diet, I lost the weight, energy again. I helped out a couple of people at the job. A lot of people will ask you, no, this is crazy, man. You can't go without carbs. You need carbs. And I'm like, well, look at me. I mean, don't you see what's happening? I'm healthy. I'm not getting pale or anything like that. I haven't been in the hospital, nothing like that. So a couple of people decided to do it. People were around the office were asking me about it. They did it, and it was working for them. So I was glad to see I was able to help people out that way. I think that's one of the best ways to help people, especially if they don't believe what you're telling them. You want to show them, and that they see it for themselves. That's how we are as humans. So at some point, again, I went back. I probably did some cheat meals, and then went back to the normal eating. I didn't, I wouldn't say that I was on carnivore at that time. I just went zero carb and ate protein. I didn't think of anything else. I didn't know about carnivore, right? Uh, and then I quit my job. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and a couple of other complications because I had a lot of stress. The kind of job I was in was very stressful. I was an IT internet coach. You would take calls from strangers that highly upset with you because the internet is not working, and then I would have to train individuals on how to take calls and so on and so it was a really high stress job. And when you're the type of person that is under an addiction, uh, you may not cope well. You're gonna build some anxiety. As a matter of fact, when I went back to start eating the standard American diet, the SAD diet, the anxiety came back quickly. So I had to quit my job for health reasons because one day one of my bosses called me. He said I was supposed to be at work. At that time, I knew I was not. It's just some kind of misunderstanding, and I had to hang up the phone immediately. My body went into some kind of I couldn't control the movement of my body. It was complete. I was shaking. uncontrollably shaking. I couldn't even stop crying. I don't cry. I don't cry much at all for anything. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't control my body, and it was so weird for me. I told my wife to take me to the hospital immediately because I didn't have control. So I'm like, look, obviously something's wrong, you know. So we went to the hospital, and I confirmed that there is something wrong. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and a couple other things having to do with that. But so I kind of took a break from work. I decided I won't be, I'm not going to be able to work for anybody anymore. I wanted to work for myself, no matter what it could be. So I took up Uber and Lyft. Uber and Lyft is what I did. Uh, I've heard about it. You know, you make your own hours, so on and so forth. So I started doing a lot of Uber and Lyft, and that was around 2018, around 2018. Uh, and So that worked out pretty well. I didn't, have to. I can wake up at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I didn't have to deal with a boss, so it was less anxiety. Um, but again, I was still dealing with the issue of sugars. You know, everything. I liked everything. The What's worse is that not only did I like meats and salty foods, I also like sweets and sugary foods, and that's just a bad combination. Just sugar by itself, eating sugar all the time is a but if you're mixing them both, oh man, you can imagine what I was doing. Again, I didn't know I was addicted. I was hiding the fact that I was tired all the time. I didn't want anyone to think I was lazy, but you can see it. I never wanted to wake up. If it was up to me, I would stay home watching TV all day. That was the only way for me to be comfortable. Like, I would smoke marijuana. If I could do it all day, I would do it all day. All this time, all this time, in order for me to get to sleep, I would have to take maybe like an aspirin. I would have to take melatonin. I would have to smoke a lot of marijuana. Um, one or two other things, even drinking alcohol, and then I can fall asleep. But that mixture doesn't let you stay asleep. So, along with the sleep apnea, so it was just bad. We all know that if you want to have a good chance of having a good day, sleep is going to be the foundation for that good day. So sleep was always an issue. Uh, so also, I just want to let you know I was in complete pain. Not only just the discomfort, I was in a lot of pain as I felt like I was 60 years old. Lots of joint pain. Um, I guess I used to think it's from all the years of playing basketball. I would still try to play basketball. I would still try to lift weights. Like I said, I was successful. Anytime that I was successful with losing weight, which was plenty of times, was doing like a low carb diet or just an all meat diet. I did try other diets. I remember watching a show called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. That was definitely a well-known documentary. So it was, if you, I don't know if you remember it, but it has to do with shakes, not shakes, but fruit, uh, fruit shakes, fruit juices. I forget what you call them. But I did that a lot. But eventually, I started to add more bananas. I started to make it more sweet, and then I crossed over to like adding peanut. You know the rest of the story. And yeah, peanut butter has always been my downfall. And if you mix it with chocolate, forget it. I'm a slave to it. So, but that worked for a little bit, and then I went back. And at some point, like I said, I was to the point where I was just I couldn't do it anymore. When I would get to work, I would start work at like 12 or 1 o'clock doing the Uber and the Lyft, and then after 2 hours, done. No more energy. I just falling asleep. Um, all the issues that come along with the standard American diet and bad nutrition, so on and so forth. Very, very moody. Anyone could say anything to me, and I would just snap. And I've been a calm person all my life, but I'm like, why am I doing this? In fact, I don't like doing this. I don't like being angry, and I feel that being angry is actually unhealthy for you. The longer you stay angry, the longer it affects you in an unhealthy way. So I've always tried to remain calm my entire life, but I just was very, very moody at this point. I decided that I needed to do something. I knew about nutrition. Remember, I told you I was a holistic health coach, so I was like, there's got to be something with my hormones. It has to be my hormones. I didn't know what else it could be. So knowing about hormones, I was like, well, let me go ahead and look into TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. So I decided to do that. I did that for a couple of years, and so now we get to the part where I'm looking at the carnivore diet. What would happen was I was on TRT. You have to pin yourself. When I say pin, I mean you have to put, use the needle. I would use a needle and inject myself subcutaneously, under the fat. And then what I felt with the TRT was some energy, um, and really, really that's it. Some energy and confidence. I remember feeling some energy and some confidence, and that helped me a little bit with work. Um, but that's about it. At some point after 2 years, I really got fed up. I got tired of pinning myself every other day. So I went to a chiropractor. I was dealing with a chiropractor because of an accident that I had. And so what they were offering was testosterone, where it's through a pellet, and they inject it through your bum about just once a year. Every 6 months, they inject a pellet, down below, uh, and then it would disperse the testosterone. So for me, that was a better option than pinning yourself every other day. Now, the thing about it is the doctor or the chiropractor said that I have to come off my testosterone replacement therapy for about 2 weeks so that they can see the baseline. They can see where I'm at. They can see where my testosterone levels are at, and then they can see from there how much they would need to give me every 6 months. And so when he told me that, I was like, this is crazy. Now I have to come off testosterone replacement. That was the only thing that was helping me. And I'm like, I felt, let's see, what's the word? I felt like I was going down the wrong path again. I felt like I didn't have anything left. I was like, what am I going to do basically? Like, what am I going to do? So I don't know if it was divine intervention or the YouTube algorithm, but at that point, the carnivore, like different carnivore podcasts, like the Joe Rogan, Sean Baker, it was coming across YouTube. Very, luckily, and I already knew about the carnivore diet. I've heard about it, seen about it, and kind of did it myself all these years before. Except this time, I decided to go all in, just to do it properly. My mindset was in the same way that I was all those years ago when I was 17. I just decided to go all in and lose weight. That's the kind of mindset I had going into the carnivore diet. Um, so I looked up all about it. I knew what to do a little bit already, and then I went all in. So for those 2 weeks, I decided, let me do this while I'm waiting. Uh, I had nothing else to lose, you know. And what had happened was that very first week, I felt a change. It was like I said, life changing. Um, when I would wake up at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., wide awake, no problem. I'm like, it was a couple of days, and I realized, what am I doing? This is not normal. This feels great. I can't believe I'm up and awake. I was like stunned. I'm like, this is great. I lost 20 pounds quickly. I knew it was water weight, but still. Um, I started noticing changes here and there. And I even had to get a blood test as well for the chiropractor in order to start giving me the testosterone replacement, the pellets. And then I saw that my blood work was all greens. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't need testosterone. I couldn't believe it. I don't even need testosterone replacement. I felt better than when I was on it. And I was spending so much. It's so expensive to be on TRT. So I was very, very happy. I didn't have to waste any money. I didn't have to pin myself. It was like my dreams were being answered. Um, now, Now, when I was on TRT, I was able to move around a little bit. I started running and jogging a little bit, and therefore, because I was able to do that, I had a lifelong dream I was a martial artist. I used to take martial arts as a kid. I stopped because obviously I was about 300 something pounds. I was getting older, so much pain. I'm like, I knew I couldn't do it. But after some time, with the TRT, I was able to move around. And then I started training Muay Thai. My daughters and I trained Muay Thai together. But still, I would go to Muay Thai and lots of pain that you can imagine being in pain already and then working out very strenuously. So during the day, I would have to take kratom. Kratom is like the cousin of a coffee plant, and it would do is get you warmed up all over your body, take away joint pains for a couple of hours, give you some confidence, and I would use that to give me the energy. At nighttime, I was in so much pain. Like I told you, I would have to smoke a lot and sometimes drink the aspirin, the marijuana, all that. Now, after those 2 weeks of going into carnivore, um, my body. Remember, I was using all that to cope with the discomfort of the addiction, but it removed that, so therefore my body wasn't needing the marijuana. It actually took my addiction of marijuana away. It's just people would tell me that you're just addicted to it because of how you are, but they wouldn't understand. It's just my body was calling for it. My body needed it. My brain needed it. But the carnivore diet, all the functions that it does for you and your body, the way it works, it it uh, it relieves the stress, it relieves the pain, it relieves that discomfort, especially if you're addicted to the sugar, which most of us are. Therefore, my body didn't need it. If my body is not needing it, my mind is not needing it. So, after that, I didn't need anything to go to sleep. I was getting good night's sleep, and for the first time in a very, very long time, I was having dreams. To this day, I have dreams every single day, and I love it. I love having dreams. You know, that tells you that you're in REM sleep. It tells you you're getting good sleep. If you're able to sleep that deep, you and you're getting dreams, that's a good indication that you're doing pretty good. So here's a list. I wrote a list of the things that I no longer have to deal with. I used to have to deal with a lot of crust in my eyes. It's almost my nose was always stuffy. So that's been resolved. Like I said, I lost some weight, better sleep. My skin is more is it's my skin is a lot better. My anxiety is almost gone. In fact, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now with you at all. I guarantee. I was very scared, very uh, anxious. The anxiety was there. I had lots of bouts of depression. I wouldn't be able to do this. So that's all gone. It keeps away the joint pain. It keeps away my back pain. I got injured twice doing, gym sessions, lifting heavy, and that's maintained. I'm able to do kicks and splits and all kind of movements, and it keeps the pain away. So long as I sleep good, then it heals me up really quick. I can continue and work out the next day. My cardio has increased. Recovery is a lot faster. Like I said, no more melatonin needed, no more marijuana, none of that stuff. There, no more kratom throughout the day. No, I don't even need coffee. My mood is consistent. My mood is calm. Growing up, I used to have a lot of stomach pains. I would have, imagine like whatever the breakfast my mom gave me, then I would go just an hour later and have some cereal. I would eat anything. I would milk and cereal and a whole bunch of carbs and cookies and ice cream bags. Like if there was a box of Oreos, it's all gone. And this is as a kid. So I had no, and of course that would cause issues with the stomach. I had lots of stomach acid. That's all gone. Going to the bathroom was very, very painful, because of the constipation. If I would eat late at night, the food just, remains in your stomach and overnight, and you're not digesting properly because the stomach acid is more alkaline without the carnivore diet. So you're not really digesting food. The food stays in your digestive system, and then you would have these painful bowel movements. Um, I used to have palpitations all the time, and it's probably because of the sleep apnea. I went many years undiagnosed, and I had palpitations as a teen as well, where I couldn't do anything. I would have to stay home. My heart would beat off rhythm. Um, it was pretty strange. I would always play it off. I'm a young person. I was a young person. I didn't want to let anyone know that I was weak or anything like that. So I just ignore it. Basically, I was ignoring these things. I had lots of chest pains. Every day there would be like a sharp pain that would kind of stun me. It would startle me. I would just ignore it. I'm the type of guy, like most guys, they don't like the doctor. They don't want to go to the hospital. They don't want to show weakness. I got rid of, you know, during the carnivore when I transitioned back into carnivore this last time. And this was about 2.5, 3 years ago when all this happened, this change. So I was also pre-diabetic before that. No longer pre-diabetic. Weirdly enough, I used to have a lot of skin tags, and it's uh, it's got rid of those. Like there's no more skin tags around my face, my neck. So I can go on and on, man. But I'll leave it at that. But so that's where I'm at. Once I went to carnivore, I got unlimited energy. Uh, it's beautiful. It changed my life. I want to tell everyone about this. Uh, I get to tell people about this when I do Uber. Sometimes they're with me in the car. They're listening to your podcast. And they're like, "What is that? Who is that? And how do I get to that?" I stop the podcast. I explain to them how it changed my life really quickly. I tell them, to visit your station, your channel, and I get to explain to them how I could change your life. A lot of people I get to see. I get to take a lot of elderly people, a lot of people with issues, the common issues, the diabetes or heart issues, and all of this is because of the standard American diet and how they're eating most of it. And I get to help them. I get to tell them, uh, take a look at this. You should look into this. It's changed my life. It's worked for me, and hopefully they've looked into it. And here I am today with you, hoping to help other people.
That's awesome. What a journey. Um, so you've had so many improvements, and just to clarify, it's been over about 2.5 to 3 years you've been doing carnivore this time.
Yeah, yeah, about 3 years now. Yeah, yeah. I started a bounce house business about 2.5 years ago, but it was before it was when I was doing the TRT, so I had enough energy where because you have to wake up early to drop off these bounce houses in the morning. You have to have energy to actually push these big heavy things. But it was a struggle. It was really hard for me, but I didn't want to let anyone down. I didn't want to let myself down. So I never thought I would have a business. My wife is the one that kind of pushed me into this. I owe it to her for the business, but it was a struggle. I had to make myself do this and that, and it was just I was still dealing with the discomfort that I've been dealing with all my life. I didn't want to tell no anyone about it. I didn't. I just knew in my mind no one would believe me. They would just say that no, no, you're just being lazy. You've been this way all your life. When in fact I've been addicted all my life, and I no longer have any cravings. When I look at food, when I look at sweets, my daughters they love this thing called crumble cookie or cookie crumble. I forget. It looks amazing, but when I look at these things like ice creams and cookies and cookie crumble, it raises a red flag in my mind. Not in the way that oh my god I miss this and it looks so good I want to eat it. It's more like it's dangerous. It's bad for you. You're gonna get sick. These past 3 years, 2.5 years, I tried drinking a little bit of alcohol, uh, and I was sick for a week. And I'm like, boom, thank you. I'm glad I did it because now I will never do it again. I'm tired of being sick. I'm tired of being tired. I don't have the cravings anymore. Um, I I'm just happy. I have more control in my life. I'm still working on the sleep apnea. It's caused a couple of issues for me recently, the sleep apnea. So I'm still working on that. I have an idea of what needs to be done. So I'll be using the carnivore diet to resolve that issue because it's very crucial. It's Sleep apnea is not a joke. It affects your heart. It affects your blood viscosity. The thickness of your blood is affected uh, in a bad way with sleep apnea. And if you mix that together with sitting down extended periods of time, such as myself with Uber, one of the bad things I would do is I would drive for 6, 8 hours a day without any breaks. If I would eat something, I would eat in the car. I would just bring the food with me, eat in the car, and you don't want to do that. I ended up having deep vein thrombosis, which is blood clots. And through studying that and realizing what was happening, that combination of extended sitting and the blood viscosity from the sleep apnea, what happens is, you stop breathing, so you're losing oxygen. Your body is trying to save you by increasing the red blood cells in your blood, which carries oxygen, to your brain. So it increases that, and that causes viscosity. And so the thickening of the blood and sitting for extended periods of time caused me to have blood clots. I passed out one day, and then so I had an issue. Went to the hospital. During that time, the 3 to 4 days I was there, no one asked me about diet, but they allowed me to eat carnivore. I, I got 3 burgers with some cheese and some chicken, and I was grateful. I was afraid that they wanted me to eat the standard American diet again, and I did, that would make me worse. So I was grateful for that. Everything that happens in your life, you want to be grateful because there's always a learning lesson. And now have a deep understanding of what's happening. And the bottom line is, I am now working on the sleep apnea. I'm going to my doctor's visits. I'm setting up appointments. This whole time I'm using the carnivore diet to help me with this. And once that's done, I should be good to go. The sky's the limit.
So, how is your family about this?
About the carnivore diet itself,
Yeah. Do they think it's a bit strange, or are they just happy to see you feeling better?
well, listen, I used to tell everyone about the keto diet. I was in the keto diet as well. My family, I used to just only buy groceries so I can kind of trap them into eating. Any diet that I would try, I would only buy groceries, and they must eat what I eat, so I can show them. But the thing about it is, then I would go back and resort to cheat days, and then I would fail, and then it just wouldn't look, doesn't make me look good by doing that. Failing on these diets. So they knew that they thought it was just another diet, and I was doing it again. But they see the weight loss, they see the change in energy. The energy is the most important thing that they've seen. They see that I don't use any drugs, any recreational drugs. I don't need it. So they can see the big change in my life. There's no other diet, no other time in my life that this has happened. So they love it. They love the new me. My wife has tried it twice. She's on it now. It's when I ask her, hey, which diet do you have that you've done that has worked for you where you lost weight? Tell me which diet. And I know the answer, and she has to tell me it's the carnivore diet. So again, she's on the carnivore diet. She knows it works. It can be hard because not everyone just likes eating fatty meats. I love it. I'm very lucky because it's easier for me. But not everyone likes to eat that way. So I let her know that go ahead if you want to eat some carrots, if you want to eat some vegetables, go ahead. It's not like you're eating before with the sad diet. You're not eating the sugars, you're not eating the cookies. So you're well ahead of the game. But mainly she's sticking to meats. Currently nowadays, I try to follow a couple of different tribes, I guess I could say. Like there's a doctor, Dr. Jack Cruz, where not only does he believe in more of a paleo carnivore diet, leaning towards seafood more so than anything else, he also believes in grounding and he believes in sunlight. If you're inside a lot, you want to kind of filter your computers and devices from blue light. Blue light it's what causes a lot of eye issues. And as a matter of fact, even if you're on carnivore and you find your blood glucose levels raised and high, and you're not eating carbs, you might want to look at the Dr. Cruz's work, because a lot of it has to do with the blue light. Blue light is you've heard of it before, but it's worse than you think. Causes high glucose levels, even if you're having no carbs. Um, and so you can imagine that causes a lot of issues when there's a lot of tests and scientific studies are done with different diets, but all while under fluorescent lighting. So the diets, the studies, the results can be skewed because of the blue light. It affects the blood glucose level. So if you're inside and you're not getting a lot of sunlight, then Dr. Jack Cruz talks about red light therapy. And that's why you see this. I don't know if you can see, but it looks like I'm under red light. I use it all the time. It's helpful for healing for my eyes, so on and so forth. That's a whole nother podcast, but definitely look into him. Another protocol that I use along with the carnivore diet is Dr. Sean O'Mara. Sean O'Mara. He also uses carnivore to heal his patients, but he also does fermented foods. So I'm using some fermented foods in the diet, meaning like sauerkraut, for example, pickles, even pickled eggs. It's just good for the microbiome. As a matter of fact, all these different cultures throughout history that have been eating just meats, they've thrived. Like the Inuit or the Maasai. There's many cultures that have thrived just using meats, um, especially the ones like in the colder climates. That's all they have. They have just like seals and the fats of fish. So that's kind of proof that these cultures have been thriving. They don't need any carbs, sugars, and things like that. Now, some of them do eat vegetables at times, but when they do it, they usually cook it and ferment them. So that's part of the thinking of this Dr. Sean O'Mara's protocol. So I allow myself to do that every once in a while, but it seems to work for his patients, and I would never go back to pizzas, uh, cookies, ice creams. So if I do cheat, it's more like a keto. I'll go to keto to cheat. You know what I mean? And that's just my way of if I'm going to cheat, I'll do that, and that's still productive in my eyes. But my kids love it. My kids use the diets on and off. They're amateur fighters, and also they're just amateur athletes, and they use diets. They are well versed in different kinds of diets. Right now, they're currently doing like a keto diet, a meat-based diet, and it works for them. They're very informed. So yeah, the family likes it to answer your question.
Nice. So what's a typical day of eating like for you?
Um, Good question, because I fast for 18 hours. I just feel it's beneficial for me. So I'll wake up maybe 7:30, even 8 o'clock. I might wake up. So first thing I do is I'll use the restroom. Uh, I'll go outside. I'll go outside and sit facing the sun. I'll just wear my shorts. You want to get some sun in your eyes. You want to get some sun on your skin. Your skin and your eyes, they're the gateway to use uh, the benefits of sunlight. Melatonin is actually created in the daytime, not at nighttime. Melatonin is created in the daytime through the sun, and it's excreted at night. So if you're not getting the sunlight in the morning, then you're probably not going to have the melatonin at night. To get to your question though, after I go in the sun, maybe even 20 minutes is fine. I'll do maybe like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I'll get myself ready to go driving. Do some Uber, and at noon is when I start to eat. At noon is when I go out to drive. I'll have my food with me. If I don't have that ready, I'll do stuff like I'll go to Publix. I'll go get a rotisserie chicken. I'll go to Burger King and just get the patties. I'll order the whole. I'll even do if I want to treat myself a triple Whopper with cheese with bacon. You take the bun out and you throw it out the window. You know, I try to stay away from the cheese a lot, but I don't throw it out the window. By the way, I'm just joking. But you know, I do the Whoppers patties. Sometimes cheese, sometimes not. Of course, with the bacon. I'll make myself eggs and take it with me. and then immediately I'm stuffed. It's like because I guess my stomach is smaller now because I only eat really. I end up eating once a day, but I allow myself 6 hours. From 12 to 6, I allow myself to eat anything carnivore. Um, Sometimes I'll get hungry from 10 to 11, but that's not a big deal. Definitely, I'm already used to it. Um, and when I get home, maybe around 5 or 6 o'clock, I may or may not take a nap. I may or may not have a snack like some fermented foods. I even allow myself berries. If I'm gonna have something sweet, it'll be berries because that's very low on the glucose index. The way it raises insulin, it's very very low, um, and that is mainly so I can have some sweets. That's like I said, I'll cheat on a keto. I'll go keto to cheat, and then go back to carnivore, and then I'll train for about 2 hours Muay Thai. I train Muay Thai for about 2 hours. I get home. Oh yeah, I have energy. Yeah. If I would have known about this a long time ago, I would have had energy and been training Muay Thai years ago, which is what I always dreamed about doing. Carnivore allows me to train Muay Thai and be with my kids all at the same time. It's just amazing. I'm so grateful. I'm very grateful. But that's it. I don't need it. I don't need any longer when I get home, especially after the that issue that I had with the blood cuts. I want to make sure that that's not causing that either. But from 12 to 6 is when I eat. It's usually really, it turns out to be OMAD, one meal a day.
Nice. Um, so if you gave someone advice about how to get started with carnivore, what would the advice be?
Well, I would tell them do a lot of research, look into it. There is a lot of science to it, and some people would say there is not a lot, but look into it. A lot. If you're a person like me and you just want evidence, use shows like yours. Use interviews. Use the type of evidence where people are telling you, anecdotal evidence, I guess is what you call it, where people are telling their stories. You can kind of get an idea if they're lying or not. Like, why would they be lying about it? They're not selling anything. But still, do your research, and then start slowly. Start slowly. You can go all in. You can go all in, but you got to commit to it. Uh, I would tell them, try to be aware of your weaknesses. If you think that you're gonna fail because of peanut butter or any kind of sugar, then make sure you're eating fats because the fats will keep you satiated and help resist the urges to go back to eating sugars. You won't want it if you have the satiated from the fats. So you can start slowly. It's really up to you. Everyone's different, you know. So start slowly, little by little. Just remove. If the main thing is if you're removing the seed oils, if you're removing the seed oils, all the processed foods and the sugars, start there at the very least, and then you'll see the difference. Allow at least a month. You gotta allow a month at least, and you'll see the difference.
Hmm. Nice. So Wilderson, do you have any way of reaching out to you? Do you have any social media or anything like that?
Yeah, the best way would be Instagram and just look for Wilder One, WILDERWUN, Wilder One. YouTube is the Wilder One, THE and then WILDERWUN. You can reach me by email too. I'll be happy to help anyone really. Email is WIL and then my last name AYURE at AOL.com.
Awesome.
Glad to help.
I'll link to all those below.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
No problem. The pleasure is all mine, and I'm glad to be here with you. Please continue doing what you're doing. And like I said, I'll be happy to help out in any way I can.